Good morning, your homeschool doula here. Welcome back. Last video we talked about homeschool schedules. So if you haven't watched that one yet, please go ahead and do it because I talk more about different types of schedules in detail. And I promised last time I would talk about what my family does for our homeschool schedule. And this is gonna be such a surprise. But if you follow my videos, you know that I'm pretty eclectic, and so we do a mix of all the schedules. Hooray! Starting from the strictest schedule, which is the block schedule, I drew up kind of a mix between block schedules, loop schedules, and a relaxed schedule for my kids, which is this one. And you can tell I'm not artistically inclined by any means, but this is what I drew up real quick. And this was helpful for my kids, especially when just getting into the groove of schooling after summer break, when we started last month. They needed something more defined because they didn't know what the schedule was going to be. They didn't know how to work their own schedules yet. They just felt kind of lost if I just said, what do you want to do? So this was really helpful for them. So I put it around the clock, and we generally started at 9 a.m. So they get up anytime in here, and my personal rule is you can do whatever you want in the morning, just don't wake me up. If you wake me up, there'll be consequences, namely taking away your screen time. So they do a really good job at being really quiet in the morning and letting me sleep. I get up usually around 8:30, we have breakfast, and then we try to start at 9. And this is where our block schedule came in. So I had Lucas, Maylee, Archer, here's what you're doing for that 9 o'clock hour. And as soon as you finish, you have free time until 10. And then Lucas, Maylee, Archer, here's what you're doing for this 10 o'clock hour. And as soon as you finish, then you're free until 11. And at 11, Lucas, Maylee, Archer, at 11 o'clock hour until you finish with at noon. Noon we have lunch. And then after lunch, you can have any of these 5 activities. We can either have our afternoon activities like scheduled things like going to art class or going to the library activities that are planned, or doing activity with friends that we've previously planned. That's more like with our weekly schedule of what we have going on that day. Then we have our chores you can do, playing outside. And once all those 4 things have been evaluated and accomplished, checked off, or put aside for the next day if you don't have anything going on, then you can have free time, i.e. screens for my kids. And then that is our general block schedule. So what you're doing at the specific hours. And if you don't finish these items within the time frame of your hour, you stop that item still, and you move on to the next one, and then you can finish up that whatever you didn't finish in the afternoon during like a catch-up time, one of those things. This helped my child a lot who had trouble focusing. So they could spend the whole morning on their math assignment and still not get it done, and not even touch anything else on their to-do list, which would drive me nuts and frustrate them because they feel like they've worked all morning and not accomplished anything, which is kind of hard emotionally and mentally to overcome. So if you just break it up, even if you haven't done your one assignment in 1 hour, it's okay. Stop the assignment, come back to it later, go on to the next thing, go on to the next thing. The weekly school is our loop schedule. So this is the block, the morning requirements, and then we go into the weekly loop. So the weekly loop I have on a little more organized. I wrote up an Excel spreadsheet. So on the Excel spreadsheet, I have Lucas's, Maylee's, and Archer's. And then on the bottom we have just our general weekly schedule of what we have going on in the afternoons or the mornings to help us remember things. And then I have them repeated, the same thing week 1, week 2, week 3. So in the mornings, they have their things that they're supposed to do every single day. So for Lucas, that's math, reading, writing, and typing. For Maylee, that's math, reading, writing, and Hunter's Ed. So they do all those 4 things every single day in the mornings. And then in the afternoon, we go into our loop schedule. And I adjusted the loop schedule a little bit so it's not exactly a loop schedule, because again, that doesn't work for our crew to have you always do one thing first, and then second thing second, and then third thing third, and fourth thing fourth, and you just rotate through the loop, like a typical loop schedule. Sometimes they're in the mood to practice piano that day. Other times they're in the mood to do art, or sometimes they're in the mood to just watch a show, watch a documentary, watch a learning show, watch whatever they need to. They don't want to have to be told, you can't do that thing because it's not next in the loop. So what we try to do is, here are your loop activities or your afternoon activities, and you need to do at least one of those things every single week. So if it's on Friday or Thursday and you look, oh, I haven't practiced piano yet this week, but I've done everything else, then I need to start on piano that day. And as you can see, they've done multiple things some days and nothing other days. So again, this is what you would call a checklist schedule, and also a variation of a loop schedule. But also, I'm really, really lax about this. Like, as you can see, they don't check stuff off every single day. In fact, it's more often that they don't check stuff off. We only use this as a helping tool. We don't use it as a master over us in our schedule. If it helps them to see what they need to do that day and check it off so they can get to whatever show they want to watch in the afternoon, or whatever activity they want to do. Lucas is trying to do YouTube videos. He needs to check off his things before he can do his YouTube videos, like creating his own YouTube videos. Then it helps them to see, and so they are motivated to check their own things off. If they don't particularly have a need to go do their screen time or go do their free time or whatever, they're just doing school happily, and it's not like a drag to get through it that day, which is what you hope most days would be, then they don't need to check things off. They just go through their mental checklist, do what they're supposed to do, and go off and go play afterwards. They don't need to come and check stuff off if it doesn't help them. It's only a helping tool for us, not a master over us. So a lot of the days you can see are not checked off. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean we did nothing that day, although sometimes that may mean that we did nothing that day. But most of the time, if there's nothing checked off on those days, it means that they were having a good homeschool day and didn't feel the need to check things off in order to do the things that they are assigned or that they know they need to do every day. The days that we have lots of things checked off are the days that sometimes it might mean that she was struggling that day and didn't want to do her things. And so checking them off visually helped her motivate her to accomplish all the things that she wanted to. So this is our variation on checklist schedules and loop schedules, and also a relaxed schedule because it's not necessarily doing things on the hour every hour. We only typically use this schedule. We use it for the first week or two of our homeschool in the fall. And then we pretty much dropped it because it didn't serve us anymore and they didn't need this anymore. Sometimes you pull it out, again, if they're having a hard day, or if the previous day was me pulling teeth all day. I'm like, all right, we're going back to the strict schedule, guys. And so we go back to this for a few days. And then they get the groove on again, and they're okay to manage their own schedule again. It really depends on the day, it depends on the child, it depends on how I'm feeling, our mood, what we're going on. I also have a chore checkoff sheet, so my jobs and the kids' jobs, and check them off. And you're supposed to check off all the ones every day before you can have your free time. And same principle applied to our homeschool checkoff of we don't necessarily check off all the things all the days. and they still do most of the things most of the days. But I'm not worried about it. I'm not stressed about it because I know that this is here to help them remember what did I need to do again? Oh yeah, these 5 things or these whatever things. And if they tell me, or if they ask me, Mom, can I do screen time now? I will tell them, check your sheet. And that will give them motivation to, oh yeah, I did this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this. Proof. I did all the things. Or they can say, oh, I did all these things except for 2. Okay, I need to go do those 2 things. So it helps remind them what their schedule is, which is helpful for them and for me. So instead of it being on me to say, have you done your room? Have you done your clothes? Have you done this and this? I can just say, what does your chart say? And they know what they need to do. Now, Archer is on here. He is my little 4-year-old. He's also on the homeschool one. I'll point out his down here. I mostly put him on here, not because I believe that preschoolers need to have a homeschool schedule or even any formal learning. I put him on here because he's the youngest and he wants to do everything his big siblings do. I didn't put him on here last year and he got so mad at me because where's my homeschool, Mom? Where's my chores, Mom? And so I put him on here just so he would have something to do like the big kids. And also to help remind me of stuff that he can do. So I have like stickers, measuring, coloring, cutting, learning shows, reading books out loud, me with him. And so this kind of helps me remember, oh yeah, I need to help focus on the 4-year-old also, not just on the big kids. And so I have this in the back of my mind too because it's on my fridge. So all these things, the 3 of them, we have on our fridge every day, just with magnets. So the kids can see it and I can see it, and it's just a visual reminder of what we need to do. But it's not our master over us. We don't stress about it if some days we don't check off anything because we didn't do anything on that list because we were too busy playing outside or doing other things, then so be it, and that is fine. I trust that my children are learning, and I can see that they're learning, and I have this as a tool to help me help them and not just stress me out. So there is our blend of block schedules and loop schedules and relax schedules and all of the above work for different times. Mix and match, find what works for you. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time.